Hey there, thank you for tuning in to Chats with Hannah. Today we'll be chatting with Dr. Dara Desai, who's a pediatric occupational therapist in Ahmedabad. She's actually my senior from college and my mentor at my first job. So there's so much that I've learned from her, and it's such an honor to have her share with us today. Dara, do you have some comments on?
How are you all? I remember you more of a student, and then when you joined, of course, we were colleagues. So yes, I remember mostly our ward rounds and patient discussions progressing to discussing anything under the sun and moon. And yes, you are one of the brightest and sincerest students that I've dealt with. So of course, we had good time there, and it's good to see that we all are doing very well. I mean, you and your batchmates are doing really well. I keep seeing the Playdate community posts on Instagram, and it feels really good. You're doing a good job.
Thanks, Dara. I think like one of my memories is we would go on these ward rounds and then we would have like a case and then you would ask me, hey, do you know about this? And I'd be like, no. And you'd be like, okay, fine. I want you to read up about this and we'll discuss.
Yeah.
I think like those things were, and even when we were working together, you'd always have like, hey, do you know this? Okay, maybe you go read up and come. But it was never like condescending. It was always like inviting me into that knowledge and like discussion. So I really, really appreciate that.
Thank you.
So let's dive in today. Our topic for today is fine motor skills. I've written a blog on fine motor skills from birth to 3 years that parents you can access on www.theplaydatecommunity.com, the blog section. But today we'll be talking about the practicalities of fine motor skills. So Dara, we've been thrown with these concepts of gross motor skills, fine motor skills. Would you help us unpack what is the difference between the two and what it is all about?
Yeah, the main difference, as the name suggests, gross motor skills are the larger activities or larger skills, large movement-based skills, and fine motors are the finer movements involving hands. But yes, I'll explain. So gross motor skills are basically coordination between, say, right and left half of body or coordination between different joints. So if I'm catching a ball, so coordination between my core, my shoulder, my elbow, my wrist. So all those coordination between my upper body and lower body. So for example, all the movements that we do, walking, running, jumping, hopping, skipping, these are all gross motor skills. The fine motors would include coordination between two halves of my hand. So okay, the one half and the other half. Also between coordination between thumb and fingers. So though we find it a person who's unknown to fine motor skills will find silly that there's coordination between these smaller areas, but those things are very important. Like we see kids struggling, we see elder kids struggling with simple tasks such as buttoning or sharpening a pencil. So that is where this coordination comes in. So of course, it depends on various other factors such as cognition and sensory concerns and any genetic conditions. But yes, if we are talking exclusively about fine motors, then this coordination is what matters.
Yeah.
So all those things that are, we button, we erase, we pre-writing skills or scissoring skills, those are included in fine motor skills. All those kiddie toys, the blocks and beads, and nowadays we have n number of toys coming up.
Yeah, I think that's so important because even fine motor skills is not just like the finger movements, right? There's so many more underlining things that involve.
Exactly. Yeah. So for someone unknown or someone not familiar, this is the simplest that we can explain it to them. Of course, as a therapist, we look into many aspects. We look at each finger individually. We look at thumb individually. We look at strength, dexterity, the different movements possible. There are n number of movements possible just between these five. There are lots of probabilities. This movement, this movement, this movement. So this is how we once we assess, we can guide the parents how to go about it.
Yeah. So what would be, the fine motor activities that, let's say like a 5-year-old, because at that point, like they're transitioning like from senior KG to first grade, right? And
Yeah,
there's so much
mainstream
happening.
school, yeah.
Yeah. So what would be like some of the skills, fine motor skills that they would need to initiate or have by the time they are 5?
Okay, so I'm talking about all kids, be it a neurotypical kid or every kid, okay, under the sun. So mainly yes. So of course this doesn't include exactly scribbling, but yes, the more scribbling any child does, be it from 0 to 5. Okay, we tend to give scribbling to younger kids, 2 to 3 year old. But I found that give them a board and paper and give them scribbling tasks. It can be with a paintbrush or sketch pen or a small broken chalk or crayon. But the more scribbling they do, the more strength, the more neuronal connections, the more stability in writing, and the skills required in school we see. So of course, this is just a pre-skill thing that I'm talking about. Mainly would be at 5 years, we expect hand preference. I'm not talking totally dominance, but yes, hand preference. We see many ambidextrous kids also, but at least tendency to prefer a particular hand should be achieved or developed by 5 years, 5-year-old. Then second would be many of the therapists or many of the teachers would say pre-writing skills, but I would rather focus on play skills. No, a 5-year-old child should be able to make a Lego tower or any blocks, and not those large blocks I'm talking about. They should transit to smaller blocks, or those Meccano toys, or those different. We have different editions. Block, make a car out of blocks and make a cottage out of blocks. So those different, but they should be able to manipulate all those different parts that are given in that Lego or a block game. They should be able to transit between larger beads or large beads to a smaller bead. So that would be the play skills or play sets that I would expect. Also, play and instrumental activities of daily living go hand in hand. So I would suggest manipulating charger and phone, or erasing a particular line, or sharpening a crayon, or opening their own tiffin boxes. So these are the skills that we expect that a 5-year-old should be able to do independently. Opening, unscrewing his water bottle, having a sip, again screwing back the lid. So at least independence in their recess or lunch break. Independence in using all the tools in the school. If not independence, at least 80% independence, under supervision. So scissoring skills come next. So we don't expect very complex scissoring skills, but at least snipping, yes, snipping should ideally. Normally 4-year-old kids are able to snip into smaller papers or smaller ribbons. But 5-year-old, yes, they are able to cut along a straight line. It's okay if they are not that finishing is not that good, because they're still learning. So we have a range. I mean, we are not putting an exact boundary or exact deadline. So yes, some of the students have learned to cut on a line, and some of them are progressing cutting through a line. So scissoring skills, yes. The next would be pre-writing skills. So printing few alphabets or printing their own name. In Indian school setup, yes, printing most of the capital and small letters, and drawing basic shapes, circle, triangle, square. It need not be very symmetrical. The triangles, they are still developing through the triangles and squares, but yes, trying to copy complex shapes. We have kids who will copy heart and flower and sun and diamond or kite. So yes, at least basic. It's okay if we are not worried about the proportion right now, the sizing and all, but they should be able to copy those simple shapes at least. So these are the pre-writing skills that we expect the child to know by 5 years of age. So you see the 5 to 6 years, that gap or transition is very crucial. Suddenly the child starts writing sentences and paragraphs. Suddenly the child's drawing has progressed to simple, wavy, like amoebic circle to a proper circle. So that's a very crucial phase. The more we encourage them in a constructive way, the more difference and more progress we see the child makes. And lastly, though it is not directly related, but bilateral activities, bilateral hand use. Because most of the fine motor skills require two hands together. So it can be sharpening, or it can be scissoring, it can be buttoning, it can be opening. So Of course, when we are working on an area, we'll give them activities that involve one hand use at a time. But the child should be able to use both hands together to complete a task. So that coordination also, though it is not exactly fine motor, but everything is connected with fine motor. So
Yeah.
by 5, we need these main 5 skills: hand preference, play skills, instrumental ADL skills, scissoring skills, and bilateral integration.
Yeah. Thank you. So my next question would be, in your experience dealing with children with fine motor skills, like what are the common concerns that you find in kids, and how does it even impact, like, their other areas, and how does it impact if it does?
Very rarely do I see fine motor as the only concern. There are always some associated concerns, and not majorly. I mean, I'm not saying that, there are major concerns, but yes, that's, you may see the parents will come with concerns like, so I recently had a parent that she had twin girls. So she said that the younger twin is very clumsy. So this was her only concern. Okay, so of course, and she's not writing as well as the other twin. So of course, because she had twins, she could compare and realize, okay, that the child has some concerns. So on assessment, we found that the child had all coordination issues. So gross motor and fine motor. Apart from that, she was doing all well. She was on par with her developmental aspects. So yes, mostly we see gross motor areas involved, or mostly we see praxis. They understand that I'm supposed to put the table here, climb here, or I'm supposed to take the pencil, sharpen it, erase it. But then executing those tasks becomes difficult, and that is how they get labeled as clumsy, or they find it difficult, or the teacher keeps nagging, the child is not able to print, the parents keep nagging, he's still not right. He knows how to write his name, but he'll not write. Now, all this will impact child in a negative way, especially, we see some over-anxious mothers, over-anxious to the point of being nagging to the child. So where the child feels so demotivated, the child starts to lose interest, and then they give up. Okay, there's absolutely zero encouragement coming from them. Bichara, the child takes efforts to write his name, and the mother will have problems. Itna dur likh diya. Look, you've written it so shabbily. So it's instead of appreciating that at least he took an effort to write. Disinterest in academics. Not now recently, but 4-5 years back, I'd seen a child. The disinterest was so severe that the parents thought that the child has some learning difficulties, or so they came for. They said these were the words used by them. Hame LD assessment karana hai. And the child was absolutely good. Okay, on assessment, it was revealed that it was just demotivation or disinterest caused by constant comparison. So for example, in school, what happens would be the teacher would announce, now open your books and let's start copying. The child with poor fine motors will be stuck at the first step itself, opening the box and finding the pencil and manipulating the pencil. So if he picks up the pencil this way, then he has to maneuver, then copy. So in the meantime, the other kids have already written first 2-3 lines. So he gets delayed. So then no one, even we as adults, would not like being called slow here. It actually is very demotivating for the child. So I feel like, though fine motors are easy to work on, I mean, we can see quick results compared to other areas, but it has a huge impact on child's overall. Forget academics. I mean, we're not even talking about it, but overall psychological and emotional health.
Self-esteem,
have low self-esteem, so it becomes very underconfident. So then if the parent comes to us after 1 year or, a huge gap, simply say, I can't write only. We tend to see so many kids, I can't draw only, I can't read only. So it begins with writing, progressing to reading, progressing to anything related to read and write, the entire and that creates, though the issue or concern is with the child, it affects the entire family, the relationship between parents, relationship between parent and child, parent and teacher, teacher and child. Like it has huge ramifications, I feel.
Yeah. So, what are 5 simple fun activities that parents can do with their kids to encourage? I mean, I know you've mentioned a bit even when you were discussing about what they
Yeah,
need to
yeah.
achieve.
So there are
Um,
loads and loads, I feel. I mean, every time I go to a stationery or arts and crafts shop, I feel, oh my God, I mean, I need this, I need this. Though I have all types of beads, blocks, craft stickers, ice cream sticks available, but still I keep buying more stuff. So yes, if the parent, I mean, of course, the first foremost thing I would like to say is if the parent knows their child's interest, then they can go and buy stuff accordingly. They can be more creative. Nowadays, everything is available online, no? So
mm,
of course, so that would so that we can customize things for the child. Yeah. But yes, I feel clothespin are the most underrated activities. I mean, and an underrated tool for pinch and strength. And
even
I
the tongs, right? Like
songs, yeah. So
using.
tweezers, and when we were kids, we would not have tweezers and all these fancy. Okay, there was no safety concern there.
Hmm.
Nowadays, we have all very fancy plastic tweezers and tongs, and so even in the kitchen set they have separate tongs. So
Hmm.
or ink dropper. So ink dropper is again
Hmm.
no, they learn to control how much to.
Drop.
Everything is, yeah. So we are taking care of everything: the pinch strength, the need to control, the attention part. Everything is taken care of in one activity. Then all the involving the child in household activities will take care of most of the fine motor skills. So peeling vegetables. So
Hmm.
put away all the stuff. There's one activity which I tell all the parents are give them puffed rice or peanuts or chana that we have. So give them in one hand and ask them to eat one at a time. So here there's this chana, one, and so all our in-hand skills are taken care of with this one activity.
Hmm.
Or give them few coins and they can give them 5 6 coins together and ask them to put them in a piggy bank
Hmm.
one at a time. Of course, the coin thing is tricky with kids who put everything in mouth. But
Hmm.
then nowadays we have many board games which has large coins. So we can use that.
Hmm.
Or for kids who are putting everything in mouth, we can use all edible items.
Hmm.
Yeah, the saves and bhujias and XYZ. Yeah. Play-Doh is one more item which I feel we can use based on our creativity in n number of ways. If not clay dough, then we can you make dough at our place. Most of the Indian households have dough being made every day. So you can take one bowl and take one ball of it and start give the child to play, and then the kids are creative. They make their own play. So using that dough in different ways, adding texture to that dough with rava or suji, again gives a variation. So I sometimes tell the parents to send in dough or a boiled potato with skin intact to the therapy center just for some variation. The child doesn't feel that we're doing the same activities. Then
Yeah.
there are calculators and remotes. So nowadays in the gadget and technology based, so
Yeah.
let them learn thoda digital skills. At the same time, we are working on their fine motor skills.
Hmm.
And the best would be the Indian Mother ka collection of all those containers, those lock and seal,
Hmm.
those Ziploc bags, or simply press and cover the
Hmm.
those steel containers and plastic containers have different lock systems
Hmm.
every. There are these containers that has one edge for us to peel it off
Hmm.
of the lid. So we can give different containers. So for example, you are my therapy kit, I'll give you 5 containers and 5 lids. Okay. And I'll ask you to open them and match them and again close them. So we are working on one activity, we are working on 5 6 areas with that.
Hmm.
Lock and key are one of nowadays we have all fancy locks at our doors. But those latch and lock, those Godrej locks
Hmm.
and heavy locks and keys, they have a different they give a different feedback to our hands and brains. I mean,
Hmm.
so instead of simply those locks that are fitted in our doors, those latch, lock, and key, those are really good. Different locks. We have those tiny locks that we put on our suitcases when we travel. So we can give them bunch of different size of locks and different key sets. So again, there also we are manipulating. And involving in household chores maybe can be as simple as putting on Diwali lights or Christmas lights, pulling them out, you know,
Hmm.
putting on the cushion covers, or just folding clothes. So we are working on gross motor, fine motor, everything with one attention. Ultimately, the parent will need to be creative, of course. Like,
Yeah. But I like how you mentioned that the kitchen itself has so much of,
yeah,
opportunities to explore, right?
yeah.
That's really
Seriously.
cool. I love these ideas. I'm going to try it with Aliza.
Yeah,
So,
sure. I mean, they are really helpful and they're fun. I mean, it is a break from those beads and blocks and
yeah, just the regular.
yeah, true. And of course,
So,
nowadays we have like the kids of today's generation have lots more exposure with the fancy games and toys that compared to what we had in our childhood.
yeah. And the thing is with kids, they get bored also pretty soon,
True,
right? So then like how many toys can you buy? So I feel
true,
like getting
true.
these stuff in the house is
That
just
is
so
why I feel
convenient.
that involving them in household chores would like, and they'll be more independent at an early age, which is good in
Hmm.
today's world. I mean, why stay dependent?
Yeah, that's good. So, like for a parent who's wondering whether their kid has an issue, doesn't have an issue, or like a concern, like when would they need to visit an occupational therapist, or when would they need to seek help for their child?
Okay, so every time like this is what I tell to all the parents that come and meet me, that okay, for every action that the child is not able to do, you shouldn't get anxious. Carry, he's not able to do. Okay, give the child some time. Maybe today he's not doing. So the kids, they do not have consistency. Okay, so no, we see kids when they start to talk, so they may tell mama today, but they may not tell tomorrow. Okay, so initially there is no consistency when they are learning. So it's like even when we are learning a particular recipe, there is no consistency. Once it will be really good, and once it can turn out to be horrible. I know it would be like undercooked types. But then as we practice, we get a consistency. Same goes with kids. This is how learning happens. With practice, 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 we reach a basic level where we tend to do things on auto mode. So like now you and me would simply lock the door on, like, no, we are thinking about something else. Or we're talking on the phone and I'm locking my door and reaching my clinic. But then nobody has to ask, did you lock properly, or did you close all the doors and windows? We are so tuned into that.
Yeah.
So once, just because they are not able to do once, that doesn't mean you should be all hyper and anxious. Give them some time, try to teach them. And if you still feel that in spite of your efforts, the child is not learning, yes, that would be a time to consult a therapist. So this is the basic, because we saying, giving them age limits or age boundaries is one thing, yes, that 5 years, this hana chahiye, 3 years. But still, at least there are many cases of, where the child is at daycare, the parents are working. So, sorry, many times the child has not been exposed to that particular task. And then I think, like we as therapists, then we don't want to judge the child. He doesn't know how to write in the box, or he doesn't know XYZ skills. So rather give them a chance to develop. And if not, yes, go to a therapist.
Yeah, I think exposure is key and
True.
observation, right?
Observe. And yes, there's some skills definitely will be able to make out. For example, in school, the entire class has learned, but the child is struggling. Then yes, maybe somewhere the child needs help. But nowadays with COVID scenario, that schooling part is out of question.
Yeah,
It's all about observations and patience.
that's key. Yeah, so thank you. That's such insightful pointers for parents and for me as well.
Thank you.
So, would you like to share with us a funny story on with the therapy, or just?
Oh yeah, many. So okay, so we have this pegboard, fancy pegboard thing with different color. They're not sticks. They're not. I mean, they're some weird shaped pegs. Okay, so the child knew what he's supposed to do. So he tends to he tends to overplay. So he, instead of doing what he's told, he'll try to do something else, which is allowed once in a while. So I told him, all these holes you have to put. So he did exactly what I told him. So he put all those pegs in the holes, including his nose and ears, which actually gave me a mini attack. And then he argued. He argues a lot. So he thinks I'm his age, okay, and he thinks I'm his first friend, I guess. So he thinks you told me all the holes. I'm like, okay, and it was really awkward. But okay, like no, at least he's learned.
Creative thinking.
Yeah. So then there was this another, and I don't know, men are wired, I guess. I don't know, it's with nose and ears. So then there's one child, I told them that you have to use your fingers. Stop using it, stop using your shoulders. And so he tends to compensate a lot while writing. So we have to keep reminding, use your fingers, keep your elbow tucked in. So then he was picking his nose. And then he's arguing that I'm using my fingers. So kids can be funny and they have this weird sense of humor.
Yes, that is.
And all those commands that we give at therapy center, they manipulate it to their own convenience at their households. So they would tell.
Trusting their parents.
Yeah, Dara told me eat, sing. So it would be at 12 a.m. at night or 11:30 at night. And then they would demand for something, telling the parents that Dara has told me. Though, I mean, they want to work on fine motors at all wrong places and wrong times.
To their convenience, right?
Yeah. So, but okay, I mean, as long as they are learning, we can. And such incidents, they also they help us, they make our day. I mean, otherwise it becomes very monotonous.
Yeah.
Ability is that one thing which is why I love working with pediatric population. You never know what they're going to reply next.
I know, and they're so honest with everything they're saying.
Yeah. True. True.
Awesome. Okay, so we're going to play like this mini thing that says what comes to your mind when I say, okay? So you just have to be really quick. I know you're very quick with your replies. You're very witty, one of the witty people I know.
Thank you.
So I just have a list of 10 things and you can just see what's on your mind. Okay. Kids.
Naughty.
Fruit.
Apple.
That's your favorite fruit?
Was watermelon actually, but I had an apple in the morning.
Okay. Chocolate.
Nutella.
Focus.
I don't have that.
School.
My OT room at the school. We have a resource room at the school right now. So.
Okay. Therapy.
My love, I guess. And somewhere I think I have also improved. I had some issues which now I've become pro at ball throw, catch and juggling and being creative with Play-Doh and
exercise.
I need to do that.
Online.
Fed up.
Independence.
Everyone should have.
And vegetables.
Ew. I mean, there's not much difference between me and my therapy kids. At least my husband will vouch for that. That, really, you all are the same. No wonder you all listen to each other.
You empathize with each other.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, I still have sensory issues, though I've overcome most of them. So I can relate that they're not being stubborn. But I still, if you give me a chalk and all, I would do it as get acha theek hai, niptao the task, finish off the task, but not willingly.
Yeah, I think this profession has made me also aware of my own sensory needs.
True.
Huh.
Yeah. And now I've gotten used to the amount of screaming, shouting. I'm like, okay, theek hai. Earlier, I would not tolerate much noise, but now I'm quite comfortable.
That's cool. Awesome. Thank you so much, Dara, for chatting with me and sharing such insightful stuff in today's conversation. I'm hoping we can do this again when we have more questions from parents and stuff.
True.
Yeah.
Thank you
so much.